This video is brought to you by my wonderful patrons over on Patron, obviously. If you would like to help support the channel and get some exclusive content, exclusive live streams, and a private Discord server, make sure you check out the link in the description for my Patron and become a patron. Can I say patron more? And I hope you enjoy this next story, written by Nickbotic. And you can find this story along with many other stories that he wrote over on Nickbotic.com. Gotta give the OP some credit, you know what I'm saying? And without any further ado, let's begin. If you find a gift that you didn't put under your tree, do not open it. Written by Nickbotic. Ours was a dark green box closed with red tape wrapped in dark green wrapping paper. I'm going to tell you what happened to us when we found ours, and if you find one and still want to take the chance, then that's on you. My family has gotten big enough to the point where everyone celebrating on Christmas Day just isn't feasible anymore. This year we celebrated at a large American Legion post on the 22nd, just a few days ago. After eating the buffet of food everyone contributed to and visiting family we only see at most twice a year, it was time for presents. Midway through, a gift was picked up by our family friend dressed as Santa. A gift with no to or from tag on it. It was covered in a green wrapping paper so dark that at first I thought it was black. Santa had a bunch of excited children clawing at him for more presents, so he set it aside for the time being, until all the other presents had been gifted. Finally, while all the kids played with their new toys and whined about not being able to open the ones that would be better suited to opening at home, he picked up the dark green box and made a plea for anyone who might have brought it and to whom it might be intended to go to. After some time and everyone claiming they hadn't brought the box, it was decided we'd simply open the box, and if whatever it contained interested anyone, then they'd be the lucky one to get the surprise present this year. Most of my family was indifferent about the mystery present either way, and thus mingled while the rest of us whose curiosity had been sufficiently piqued congregated a few feet away from the tree. My cousin Danny was the one who tore away the dark green paper. Beneath it was a cardboard box of the very same color, itself held closed by tape that was a deep, dark red. He pulled the tape from the box and lifted the flaps. From within he pulled out a small box of markers. This is where things get strange. I'm going to tell you what happened as per my recollection and from my perspective, after which time I will explain why I refer to it as strange. My cousin Danny's 6-year-old son was amongst the 6 of us who wanted to see what was inside the box. Upon seeing what was pulled out of the box, his first words were, "What is it?" Which in retrospect is not something I would expect a perfectly intelligent child to say when looking at a dime a dozen 12-pack of markers. But by that point it had already started. I, as much as anyone else, was in a trance. Anyone else, that is, save for the kids. If I remember correctly, the youngest person that was affected was my 11-year-old cousin Haley. All the other kids, all my little cousins, were still running around playing, while all of us, ostensibly 11 years of age and up, all stood up straight and faced the western wall. The last thing I saw before I unwillingly turned towards the wall was my cousin Danny setting the markers onto a chair next to the one in which he was sitting when he opened the box and stand up. We all stood there transfixed on nothing. About 40 of us. Even my 86-year-old great-aunt, who had been confined to a wheelchair for nearly 2 decades, stood up straight as if she wasn't paralyzed in a fall down the stairs so many years ago. Even though I was under this spell or hypnosis, whatever it was, I was still completely lucid. I was aware of everything going on around in my field of vision. On the very edge of my periphery, I saw something. A man. A man in a black suit and a black pork pie hat. He was whispering into my cousin Jackie's ears just before she dislocated both of her shoulders and started spider-walking around the large room like a deleted scene from The Exorcist. Then he walked further into my line of sight. But I can't remember a single detail about his face. He walked up to my Uncle Steve and whispered into his ear, after which Steve walked up the wall, which was textured and coarse, and began scratching at it with all of his energy. The eggshell white color was soon streaks of red where his fingernails had broken and torn off his fingers. Next was my 15-year-old cousin Haley, who after hearing whatever the man said began to bite her own forearms as hard as she could. Before long, blood began dripping to the linoleum floor. Though all three of them were doing these things that would cause any normal person intense pain, none of them reacted to it. They were like robots. At this point, the kids knew something was wrong. They'd stopped playing and stopped running around, and a few of them were trying to get the attention of their parents, who were still stuck in a trance, seemingly incapable of addressing them. I can say for myself that I wanted to move, but I couldn't. It didn't feel like I was being held in place, but almost like I had no muscles which to move. The man moved to the front of the room and faced us. He spoke to us, but I can't remember what he said. In my memory, it sounded like what adults sound like in Charlie Brown. What I do remember is our responses. All of us in perfect unison. We said three things. To you we bow. We are nothing. You are all. After we said this, he spoke more words that for the life of me I can't remember. By now all of the kids were screaming and crying, but their noise was drowned out by the man's voice. You control us. This we see. I am no more. This is no me. At this point, my body felt like it was starting to be pulled. It felt like someone was pulling another me from me. I can't really explain it. It was like my life force was being pulled from me, but once it was completely out of me, I wouldn't have been dead. Like I said, I don't know how to explain it. He spoke again. More of the same. That plays in my head when I try to remember it. Then we tried to respond. Thank you, Father, for this night. You give us all. Please take my... And then I heard an ear-shattering crash to my right. And looking back, I can see my cousin Danny's 6-year-old son with the pack of markers in his hand, hitting his father, who was still as a statue, repeatedly in the leg and hip, trying desperately to get his attention. Then in the midst of his fit, he threw the markers to the ground. And the sound they made when they hit wasn't what they should have sounded like. The sound was deafening. And just like that, everyone came to. Of course, panic ensued immediately. I myself was still frozen in shock. I just stood there, unable to move, unable to think. Just observe. People were comforting their terrified children, helping Jackie with her dislocated shoulders, helping Steve wrap his mangled fingertips, helping Haley with her arms where her teeth had torn away the skin, helping my paraplegic great aunt who had toppled to the ground after whatever it was that was inexplicably keeping her standing had gone away. All of this was going on while I was just standing in the same spot, dumbfounded. Then Danny's son said something that snapped me back. The following will serve to explain why I referred to this situation as strange when I did. What happened to the thing? I looked to the floor at my right, wondering why a pack of markers had made such a noise as it did. But there were no markers on the floor. I looked at Danny and said, "Where'd the markers go?" Still in a state of shock, Danny asked, "What markers?" To which I replied, "The ones from the box." Danny looked at me in confusion. "From the box? You mean the vase Mason shattered?" I didn't know what to say to that, though our cousin Adam, who had been with us when Danny opened the mysterious present, chimed in. "What the fuck are you guys talking about? The box had ping pong paddles. Dan, you pulled out the ping pong paddles." My cousin looked down at his son. Mason, were you hitting against my leg? The 6-year-old replied through sobs with, I thought if I broke the cup thing you would answer. None of us knew what to say, but the next realization hit us all simultaneously. There was nothing on the floor. Not a pack of markers, not a shattered vase, no ping-pong paddles, no cup thing. No dark green wrapping paper, no red tape, no green box. Nothing. It was as though there had never been a mystery present at all. We eventually snapped out of our confusion and went to help various members of our family who needed it the most. Ambulances came, the Legion post closed early, and everyone in my family went home that night terrified and addled beyond belief, myself included. That night I awoke in a cold sweat around 3 a.m., and I was able to recall perfectly the nightmare that had awakened me. It was from my perspective, and I was back at the Legion post, entranced like I had been earlier that evening. Only this time the man in the black suit and black pork pie hat was standing next to me whispering in my ear. And I still couldn't hear him, but when I woke up I knew what he had told me. There are more presents, more trees, more unsuspecting people, and no one is safe. So if you find a gift under your tree that you don't remember putting there, don't take a chance. Don't tell yourself you must have forgotten about it. Do not open it. Smash it, burn it, throw it off a bridge into a body of water or into a trash compactor, or a wood chipper, if you happen to have either one just laying around. Just please, do not open it. Whoever he is, whatever the present is, it's not good, and you might not be as lucky as we were. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And if you would like to help support the channel and get yourself some cool perks, make sure you check out the link down below to the Patron page. You'll get exclusive content that will never hit the channel, as well as exclusive live streams, a private Discord, all that cool stuff. And if you would like to read more stories by Nickbotic, make sure you go check out their website at nickbotic.com. Seriously, a talented writer. And I know a lot of you always like the stories, so go check them out. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I will catch you in the next video. Oh, and if you would like to submit your own story, make sure you submit it to yourmaker6260@gmail.com. So yeah, I'll catch you all in the next video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bad bye.